Hello, everybody. Thank you guys for watching. Today, I'm going to be going over the LE damage sheet calc that I made, the template that I have. Some people were getting lost, they had some questions, and yeah, figured I'd make this video to help everyone out, give them, guide them through some things, get them to understand what's going on here. So let's get into it. So when you first get in here, when you open the link, you're going to want to go to File. You're going to make a copy. That'll allow you to edit, make changes, put in all your stats for your skills, so you can get some damage, figure out what you're doing. All right. I have this character stats. It's the first thing that you're going to see. Will be on the character sheet. Weapon attack rate here is going to be for melee skills. It's going to come from the base attack rate for your skill. Plug that in here, and it'll work for attack speed on melee skills. Then you have your stats, strength, dexterity, intelligence, attunement, vitality. Those are going to be linked to your skills as well for whatever skilling they have. And I'll show that whenever we get to the skills. But yeah, those are the only stats that are being used out of these character stat table. If you want to add formulas yourself, you can. And that's why I kind of like left these other stats here, just so you had a table to use and some cells to use. And yeah, you could add that if you want to do that. All right. In the skills section, what you're going to see is you're going to see these 10 templates. There's no specific one for a specific type. You can use all of them. You can, if you're looking at 5, 6 skills, 8 different variations of the same skill, whatever. Like that's the reason I put in 10, so you can figure out what you want to do, and it leaves us to be a little bit more dynamic, right? You can swap between 2 builds if you have a 2 different builds and see what kind of damage it is outputting versus the other one, like that. So you're gonna have these base stats, and that's just gonna be the base stats for the skill. I recommend going to Last Epoch Tools and looking at all the base stats here. I'll kind of guide you through them here. The source is just gonna be, is it from a minion or is it from yourself? Are you casting? Skill type, throwing melee spell, or melee spell throwing, rather. These are just the skill types. Bow is not included, but you can use the other table types like spell or throwing to also kind of pseudo apply to bow skills, right? Just fill in the type here and then fill in the corresponding tables. I didn't put bow in, and I probably won't, just because you can adapt it that way. If it was a little bit easier to implement, I would do it, but I didn't really make this thing that easy to adapt and change on a large scale. So little small things, yeah, you can do that. That's pretty easy. So I think for now, just changing the skill type and then doing that would be best. Stat scalings, these are going to be what stat that your skill is scaling off of and what it's getting from that stat. And then how much of that stat is it, or how much of that modifier is it getting from the stat. So Elemental Nova, for instance, per point of intelligence gets 4% increased damage. Most skills do, so that's why I left the damage and 4%, or the 4 here. That's just how much of whatever it is, percentage, added, whatever. It doesn't matter. So that for every skill is just about the same. And it just usually changes what stat it scales with. All right. You have 2 of those because sometimes skills can have 2 or more. Actually, I don't know if they can have more. I put 2 because I think most of them just had 2. So I didn't see anyone with more than 2. If there is, I'm sorry. But you can add that at the bottom pretty easily if you wanted, right? All right. And then the next thing is has multiple types. This is going to be, does the skill have multiple damage types for its base damage? Elemental Nova, for example, has 6, 6, 6, 6 fire, 6 cold, 6 lightning. So you'd checkbox, you'd hit the checkbox, you do fire, cold, lightning, 33.33%, 33.33%, 33.33%, something like that, whatever. Can't get to the exact number, but yeah. And what this does is it splits your adaptive damage, it splits the base damage dynamically, and make sure that everything gets calculated properly for a skill that has multiple types. I don't think there's more than 3 types on any skill, but there could be. In that case, you'd have to do some manual formulas yourself. Sorry. But yeah, cool thing about this is you can always just switch it on off with the has multiple types. You don't have to go in and clear these cells. I'm just doing it for the template, but yeah, just click this and it disables it or turns it on, right? Next thing is your attack speed. As I said, it scales with your attack rate. You'll get that from the base speed and it'll say what it scales with. So if it's attack speed, you put it here. If it's cast speed, you put it here. Damage, just the base damage of the skill, just the total. You don't have to do individual. As I said, that base damage that has multiple types handles that. So just do the total. And then damage effect, it's going to be coming from the added damage scaling. This one's 100%, so you put 1. If it's 125%, you put 1.25. Crit chance, 5%, just the base crit chance of the skill. Boom. Crit multi, base crit multiplier of the skill. Boom. Then you have your breakdowns here. It's just going to be how much of whatever element that you're doing in terms of damage. That'll get shown here. That's just the core base damage and the increases for that damage type. Then you have your crit chance here. I do have data validation on this where it can't exceed 100%. It does, it might be on this. I think it's on this one actually, but somewhere there's data validation and that's the calculation. That's the one that's used. So if you see one go above 100%, it's fine as long as it's not counting towards your damage, right? So that should be working fine. Then you have your total attack speed, your total cast speed, which should be coming from here. I broke this somehow. Oh, normie. Because it's not marked as spell. But yeah, yeah, sorry, that happened. So there's cast speed. Am I tripping out? That'd be your total cast speed, your total attack speed. That's just for the total damage calc that's coming up. Your crit multi, and then your core base damage. How much damage you're doing, sum of all this, pretty much. And then it gets the final multipliers and increases as you get to the critical hits, highest and lowest hit. And that's just your non-crits. The reason why you have a lowest and highest is because of the damage variance and LE is like it's like 20%, something like that, I think. So yeah, that's why you get the low, high, and average DPS is just the averages, right? Then below the skill, you have the individual tables that are skill specific. If you have any modifiers that are only relating to the skill above, where you put these here. So skill tree modifiers, anything that's dealing with like a type of skill, like fire crit. Since I didn't really break that down, you'd add underneath this table. You'd add the increased stats under this bonus increased stats. You'd add your multiplicative stats under here. Then you'd add your bonus added stats here in the corresponding tables. And yeah, if you want to expand the tables, it's because you have more, modifiers than rows. You're going to want to click the table, or sorry, the row above the total row and insert one row above. And that'll allow you to move the rows and stretch them out and, not mess up any of the formulas. So that's what you want to do if you're going to be adding any rows. All right, now we're going to be going into these other sheets, the increased damage sheet, spell, melee, throwing. You have your generic damage, just gets applied across all the totals for spell, generic spell damage, sorry. And you have your cast speed, your crit chance only relating to spell, and the respective damage type column or tables. Melee, also the same thing with the generic melee damage, attack speed for this, attack speed for melee and throwing, and then the corresponding damage type tables. And in your global table, you could add global damage here, and it'll literally get applied to every table above, all the totals. So yeah, that's how that works. Pretty nice. And you have these little rows here to be adding your notes. If you want to add a note, you can also right click, insert note or comment, and you know keep tabs of where things are coming from that way. Multiplicative stats. You also have that same table to type things up, and then you can add your percentages here. When you add the percentages there, it'll update the the multiplier. And then all these get totaled up to their respective stat. And then the global one happens at the end and just applies everywhere, right? It's applied to all these. So yeah, your added stats, also pretty easy here. Adaptive, spell, melee, throwing with the adaptive changes. This will help. You can put your adaptive damage here. And then your added damage types corresponding to the one that you need to put it in. You have your crit chance, added crit chance, and added crit multi. This is the only source of crit multi is only added. I don't think there's any more increased crit multi unless I'm mistaken. So yeah. And then you have minion increased stats, minion multiplicative stats, and minion added stats. And your shred and pin stats. The minion stuff are the exact same tables as the general ones, just they apply to minions. For your armor, you have armor effect here. If you have more than 100%, put it here. If you don't, you can just put in the amount of stacks that the enemy has or the amount of stacks that you could be expecting to apply at a given time, whatever you want to do. And yeah, there is some validation on this. It won't let you go above the max cap for armor shred because it's based on the armor formula. And then, yeah, your corresponding shred stacks for the damage type that you're dealing. You can put here, once again, there's validation. It'll only give you the 1.5 at 10 or anything above 10. And then your penetration is additive to the corresponding stat or damage type. So, yep, it'll add together with that and then get multiplied on the end for the damage type that it's for. And yeah, that's pretty much it for everything here and me going over the sheet. If you have any further questions or any concerns or any fixes that I need to come in here and do, please let me know. I'll leave my Discord in the description below. I'll leave links to some of the tool sites that you can use to help you fill this out. And yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and hopefully this helps. Peace.